So everybody can share now. Very talented young people who have decided to follow.
Then another year it starts again. Well, this is different.
We should definitely be talking to these wonderful people. Once again, we urge you to share the feed on Facebook.
Hi there, I'm Faida, and today we're going to be talking about the African diaspora in Mexico.
Whether UK likes it or not, I have to leave this country.
I became a member and a chief of the Vice Lord all in one day.
All these guys, winds are out of the north at Midway Airport.
His father.
Rice and beans. Okay, kids, we have had to come to an end of this beautiful set.
It's not about the
This is the inside account of a week that brought the Rainbow Nation to its knees.
right
Essentially trying to implement into this. Welcome, everyone. This is the Progressive Minds Show, your number one community building show in the entire world. We are very excited to be coming your way this evening. Today is January 12th, 2022. We are very thankful to the Lord God, to God Almighty, for giving us the opportunity to gather again as a people of one big global community to have these discussions that are so much needed. This evening, we're going to be talking to fellow diasporans. And as you've seen on social media, Africa versus the diasporans. It's not Africa versus. It's not literally, okay? Because the whole goal is for us to come together. So it's not pitching one against the other, not at all. But we're very excited that you're joining us. Please be part of the conversation as we build our community together. Share the feed on Facebook. We are currently live on YouTube as well and on Twitter. This show is being carried by My Star radio station. It's a Pan-African radio station in out there on the East Coast. You want to tune in right now to My Star Radio. If you go on the internet and you type My Star Radio, this show is being carried live. Well, we would have the Captain Mike segment. Right after that, the guest will be introduced so we can get into the thick of things. Feel free once again to be part of this show. Again, this is Alinko. Captain Mike is ready to give us his update. Captain, we missed you for about 2 weeks. I know it's been due to your work schedule. What do you have in terms of the Omicron, the weather, and sports?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll start with the weather. Right now at Midway Airport, we're looking at 40 degrees, actually increasing a little bit in temperature, a few degrees overnight, so not too bad, mostly cloudy. Winds are out of the south, 5 to 10 miles an hour, so not too bad. So tomorrow we're going to look at.
Okay, looks like we lost Captain Mike just when he was going to show us what's going to happen tomorrow. So hopefully we can get him back. He is somewhere trying to get his show, get a segment to us. But as you know, we're in a virtual world now, so everything hinges on the strength of your internet. So we hope that you bear with us. Well, again, we just want to introduce our guests for this evening. feel free to be part of this conversation. If Captain Mike is able to join us, we'll try and get him on, but we will continue the show. Again, help share the message, share the feed so we can be part of this decorum. On the bill is Charlotte Bennett. Charlotte is she is a Chicago resident. She is a Chicago local. My neighbor right next door. No, she's not right next door. Charlotte R. Bennett is a Belizean American. She is a fraud risk management analyst. She is an entrepreneur and the president of the Chicago Caribbean Committee. Char Bennett, you are very welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And looks like Captain Mike is here. We'll see if we can get him on. Next to Charlotte is NATALIE E. Perkins. NATALIE is a community advocate and also a photographer. NATALIE, welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Hi, thank you so much, Senna. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, South Side, although I haven't lived my whole life here. I spent some time overseas in South Africa and Russia and in Sweden.
Brilliant.
So I'm really happy to be here.
We love your headset, the colors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Juanita is Juanita PALACIOS-SIMS is the founder and executive director of the International Society of Black Latinos. Juanita, first time on the show. I know we tried to get you some time ago, but this is the right time, so you are here. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. And the pronunciation is Juanita PALACIOS-SIMS.
Awesome.
And I'm Cuban and Colombian, and I live in Los Angeles. I was raised here in the United States, and I founded the International Society of Black Latinos back on 10/10/10. So we just made 11 years, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next on the bill is Jabal. This is the second time he's going to be on the show. My brother, you're welcome. Your mic is muted, so we couldn't hear a thing.
So sorry about it. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Alenko. It's a real pleasure.
My pleasure. Again, he is a musician and a man of a lot of things. He plays all sorts of instruments. Great individual in the city of Chicago. Thank you, my brother. Last on the list is Dominic IB Pettis EL. Now, but brother, can you welcome on the show again? We've met since 2019, right? We've been in contact, and this is the right time for us to interact. So I'm glad to see you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. We had a little small good bill that I think is going to grow into a bigger bill here. Dominic IB Pettis-EL. Everybody calls me IB, but it's Dominic Pettis-EL. I'm a Moorish American Muslim. I'm also a sheik. I'm a youth mentor, after school programs manager for Guitars Over Guns in the Chicago region, and also I'm a recording artist as well. So wear many hats.
Thank you again. Captain Mike just made it in. We'll see if we can sneak him to do his segment real quick, if with internet permitting, right? Bro, go ahead and try to give us that segment quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I don't know when I cut off. Tonight we're gonna have a low about 35 degrees, and it may sneak up a little higher. It's actually gonna increase in temperature, and we'll get through tomorrow, Thursday, high of 33, low 32. Chance of snow. Friday, cloudy. Gonna have some snow. Not much accumulation. Pretty much less than an inch. Saturday, high of 25, low 41. The northeast winds pretty breezy, so hold on to your hat. Sunday, high 27, low 21. Mostly cloudy skies, northeast winds 10-15. Monday, high 27, low 20. Partly cloudy skies. Tuesday, we're going to have high 28, low of 18. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. And Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, south winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. In sports, tonight we have the Bulls taking on the Brooklyn Nets at 9 p.m. Watch out for that. English Premier League scores. West Ham 2, Norwich City 0. The African Cup of Nations scores. We have Mali defeated Tunisia 1-0. Gambia defeated Mauritania 1-0. Ivory Coast defeated the Equatorial Guinea 1-0. International friendlies, Iceland and Uganda fought to a 1-1 draw. In the Ghanaian Premier League, we have Medema 1, Heart of Oak 0. In our health and fitness segment, we have the kind of people who never get sick. Kind of don't like those people because they're unlike the normal folks. But what do? What are some of the tips they use to not get sick, to not have to call in? Well, here are some of those tips that they use. One, we hear it all the time. We heard it from when we were kids. Wash your hands. They wash their hands a lot. Because right around now you have the cold and flu season, and there are a lot of different germs floating around on doorknobs, elevator buttons, and such. So wash your hands frequently. 2, they take cold showers. Cold showers helps our circulation and actually improves our skin tone and helps us recover from injuries. Something that the old samurai used to do back in the day before they fought. They would jump into a cold, icy lake. So it must work, and doctors and surgeons and there've been research says that it does improve our lives. 3, they value friendships. Close friends can protect us against memory loss and heart attacks. There have been studies that show sociability increases your self-esteem, which then improves your immune system. 4, they get enough sleep. People who get 8 hours of sleep, they increase their melatonin rates, which improves their immunity. So sleep is one of the best ways we can improve our immune system and our health. 5, they control their stress. They don't let things stress them out. Research shows that stress can exacerbate diabetes, cold, irritable bowel syndrome, possibly heart attacks. And 6, they lift weights. So if you don't lift, bro, go lift. Regular weight training reduces the risks of heart attack, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, colon and breast cancer, depression, and diabetes. So if you're not hitting the weights, get out there and start pushing iron. But as we always say here on the Progressive Mind Show, before you do anything different with your health regime, talk to your healthcare professional. So with that, Sina, we're going back to you.
Brother, thank you so much for these updates, and we're looking forward to have you next week. I know the airline industry is picking up. How is it doing currently, quickly?
Well, right now we're looking at 1.1 million travelers came through our checkpoints yesterday, which is compared to 1.7 million 2 years ago. So we're right on track. We're starting to get there. So wear those masks, listen to your healthcare professionals, and keep this Omicron down low so we can get back to normal.
Let's beat Omicron together, guys. Hey, Captain Mike, thank you so much for your time. We are definitely looking forward to hearing from you next week, but stay tuned. You know, this is a very important conversation. You know, we talk about this a lot.
Look forward to the rest of the show.
All right, my man. That was Captain Mike with his segment. We really appreciate him. He always tried to make time, whether he's flying or not. He always tried to squeeze in between somewhere to give us this update. So, Captain Mike, we really, really appreciate you. Let's go to our guest straight away. And I really want to say this before we continue. Again, for those of you who may have seen the flyer and scenes versus, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again, this is not us pitching each other against ourselves. If you know me, you've seen my work, if you've been with me for some time, you know there's not an iota of divisiveness in me. The reason why we do this, the reason why I take it on myself and sometimes talk to my friends and sometimes look at the African community as the most important catalyst in this conversation or in this relationship that we're trying to work out is because modern history tells us, makes all of us understand that we directly took part, our ancestors directly took part in the transatlantic slavery. At least in all this, in the other races, be it Asian, be it Latino, and other Caucasian, European, we have no history that shows or that tells us that these people actually sold their kind to other races, to Europeans. But at least we know that, and we know that our ancestors participated in slavery. And so a lot of times when it comes to accountability, when it comes to working out our relationships with the diaspora, I always want the conversation to start from home, start from us Africans. knowing that we have the moral right, we have the moral obligation, and the moral accountability to reach out to fellow diasporans, whether be it the Caribbean, be it the Latinx, be it the African American. We ought to do more of the reaching out. If we are indeed trying to connect, try to work out our relationship, try to work out our differences, unite for the better, then there is a need for us, the Africans, being the perpetuators, being part or being descendants of people who perpetuated in slavery. We ought to take leadership in this. And a lot of times I do not see this. And so I urge fellow Africans to be part of this conversation, to engage more as we try to work out our relationship. Again, this is not pitching us against the other, but definitely there is a responsibility, a bigger responsibility, I think, lies on the African. And again, this is my opinion. We are not the custodians of the truth on this matter. We are all community members who care a lot and very passionate about some of these discussions, particularly the diaspora conversation. If you don't know about the diaspora, today, hopefully after the show, you would have an idea of what the African diaspora is, what has been the patchy relationship that has existed, and how we can move forward as a people. So that being said, let's go to Shah. Shah is the president of the president of the Caribbean community here in Chicago. Shah, you are Belizean American. Now, if you say Belize, we know that it's within the Caribbean Peninsula or the Caribbean community.
Demographic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, how close is Belize to Jamaica, Haiti, and all those different countries? If you can help educate us on that.
So to educate you on it, we are actually in Central America. So we are like right on the cusp before you enter into the actual Caribbean itself. Mm-hmm. So you might as well say we are like the gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. Most people don't associate us with that as being Caribbean because we're in Central America, but we are.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now let's go to Juanita. Reason why I want to get these out is that a lot of times, I mean, even for me, I'm trying to learn the dynamics within the African diaspora more. And so thanks for that clarification. Juanita, if we say the Latino, Latinx, you said it, you gave us explanation before we came live. But for those who have not heard it or want to know, tell us what makes up the Latino community and the difference between Latino and Latinx.
So thank you again for having me. And I love your intro. So the difference between Latinx and Latinos, Latinx is more of a new version of saying Latinos because of the masculine side of Latinos. The new generation decided to put an X so it will be inclusive to both women, men, and, to whomever. It encompasses everyone. So it's just not the masculine term as Latinos, it's Latinx.
Thank you so much. And what countries comprises when we talk about the Latino people or the Latinx people?
We're talking about South America, where you have, you're talking about Colombia, Brazil, you're talking about the Caribbean, Belize, Cuba, Haiti, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know that Haiti is actually a Latin country. And so it encompasses
Mexico too? Okay.
Mexico as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So all of our Latin countries are considered, the new generation, the Latinx.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long you've been in the US, but I'm sure you've been here for a long time. Mm-hmm. Tell us, I'll start with Char and I will come all the way, and then we'll come to, from Char, we'll go to Natalie. Tell us your observation, Char. You have been doing a lot in this space. If you can tell us what your experience has been when it comes to our relationships. Yes, go ahead.
It's a mix. So it's either displacement, resentment, trying to connect, literally the connection and why it's not there, Why is there so much segregation between everybody? And when it comes to community as a whole, either we are for it or we're not.
So, okay, thank you. Thanks for that, sharing your observation. So it clearly authenticate the conversation we're trying to have, that we have not had a good relationship. We have had a patchy relationship as a people or as a bigger community. Thank you. Natalie, you being an American, what has been your observation when it comes to the relationships that have existed among the African diaspora?
Well, can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I think because I'm a little bit older than everyone, I have seen different iterations of this, especially growing up in the 70s when you had so much immigration. And I lived in Hyde Park. So if you're from Chicago, you know that Hyde Park seems like a very progressive community, but it is anchored by the University of Chicago. So we have international students and doctors and teachers coming in from all over the world, and especially Africa. So that was my first introduction. Even though the introduction wasn't very good, African people did not seem to want to belong to the African American community. And that was very disheartening. You know, my parents, who were older than me, they said, don't try it. Don't bring anybody African home. And I was like, wait, what? That's not how we want to be. You know, your parents teach you one thing, but you actually learn another thing. And that was interesting to me. And I always wanted to go to Africa. Like I said, I grew up in the 70s. That was a big movement of finding out what our roots were. And then, of course, Roots came out. So, and I went to Howard University, where I met people from all over the diaspora, which was so interesting because just like Shar said, if you don't mind me calling you Shar, just like Shar said, there is unity, but also distrust. I heard things I never heard before, like, I'm so glad that we were colonized by the French. I'm like, what? Gotta be crazy. And then later on, when I moved to South Africa, it was very interesting because that is the one place in Africa where I look like I belong. And that to me was so interesting and welcoming in so many ways. They could tell I was an American, but I did look like, I looked like a lot of people there. So that was overwhelming. I loved it. I have to say I loved it. But even there in Africa, somebody that looks like me going to West Africa, no.
I'll come back to you. So you tell us, you say your mom did not want you to bring home an African. There was a reason why. And I'd like you to share that with us. Juanita, I think you shared, I don't know if you shared your perspective already on the same question or not.
No, I have not.
Please
this
go
is
ahead.
So open-ended, this question.
Yeah, but try and put it in
I'll make it really short. Just to give you an example, I have a travel agency. So here in the United States, growing up with an accent, I was bullied. I didn't fit with the African Americans and I didn't fit with the Latinos. When I worked hard to lose my accent. And so on the weekdays, I was African American, and on the weekends, I was Afro-Latina. So now that I have, and that's why I started the organization, to bring awareness of the Afro-Latino. So I took an African-American group to Cuba for an educational trip. They were so excited because the Afro-Cubans were, the Cuban people were so welcoming, so accepting. And I remember telling them in the conference, I said, you see, we are welcoming and accepting of you, but you guys are not with us. If we have an accent, if we come from another country, we're looked upon differently and we're not considered African Americans or Americans. So that has been my experience. And because of that experience, I started the International Society of Black Latinos.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. That was very deep. Jabal, if you want to have your a go at this, or if you, I don't know if you want me to repeat the question or just go ahead if you heard it the first time.
Well, on my perspective, I I would say that when I got in Chicago, it's at that time that I started being like introduced to different communities, and especially my Black folks community, which was like very interesting because, well, from where I was in Cameroon, when I was living in Cameroon in Africa, people had people have like a certain apprehension, or some point of view of Black Americans, for example, and it's always based on what they're watching on TVs and what they have as informations coming from like the news on TV, and you're like kind of trapped in a certain bubble where you have a certain mindset already, and it's until you touch the ground in the US that you face the reality and you realize that uh it wasn't that it wasn't true at all, like what they were seeing on TV. Yeah, I think I mentioned that last week when you asked me a question almost similar to this. I was telling you that the is the same when Black Americans, the opinion they have about Africa, for example, is different. And I'm saying it because I had conversations many times with some coworkers and friends, Black Americans friends, who told me stuff like, we think in Africa it's only jungle, it's only forest. You guys don't really have anything of the modernism, I was saying. Yeah, so it was a little bit not intriguing, but interesting to me because I'm always ready to learn, and I was thinking that now you're in a new system, you need to just uh, relate with people, and
Yeah.
then you will maybe discover things that you never knew before.
Quickly, since you've been here, what has been your observation? You think that no, there's no problem. We all get along very well, or not?
Yes. So personally, it's really funny because, like I said, I mentioned last time, my my observation was really shocking because first of all, I realized that Black people, no matter where they are, they almost the same. Like they have same behaviors. In Africa, I have people. It's not only because they don't have jobs; they're always on the streets, in the neighborhood, with their families in front of their houses, talking and doing
Hanging out.
talking and yes, just hanging out like that.
Yeah.
And that was the first fact that I realized, that I noticed when I got here. I was driving on the west side and I realized everybody was out. And I felt like I was in Africa. I was feeling like in Africa, and that really touched me. And it's really, and I was feeling, believe me, I was feeling like I was feeling home. I felt like I could just get out. I didn't even know anything about like violation in Chicago, how people might be violent in Chicago, but oh, I was just like happy to be there.
Awesome.
And you see, that's the first thing that really attracted me about this city. I fell in love with it, and since and I travel sometimes, I go to different other states and cities, but I always want to come back to Chicago because I felt like I landed exactly where my roots were.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Powerful experience. Thank you so much for sharing, Brother Dominic.
Yes.
No, I don't know. Again, I don't know if you want me to repeat the question, but what I wanted to, so the question on the floor is that you've lived here all your life. What has been your observation when it comes to our relationship as the African diaspora? For those of you who may be watching this for the first time and don't know what the African diaspora is basically the bigger community of all Black people outside the continent of Africa. So here in the United States, you have Caribbeans, you have Americans, African Americans, you have the Latinx community, you have the continental Africans who have come here, so, and the Caribbeans. So all this different Black group of people come together to make the African diaspora? Just for the explanation of what it is. But brother, your observation of our relationship.
Well, my observation sort of evolved. I'm pretty sure I'm probably the youngest on the panel. I'm 35. I was born in '86. So like when I was growing up in Chicago, it's funny how I hear the other panel talking about Chicago, because if you're from Chicago, you know it's a big melting pot here, but it's also a very segregated city. And so, when I was young, from a perspective of how my mother raised me, I looked at it from a Black lens. I looked at it from an African-American lens. But as I grew older and I got to a point where I proclaimed my nationality as a Moorish American, I stopped identifying as Black. I stopped using the term Black, white, and all of these different terms and these marks. And I started to really look at respect people by their nationality and who they are. So when that changed my lens of how I looked at things, I started to realize the true unique problem is that the so-called Black man or woman in America is dealing with identity crisis. And then you have individuals, you have other larger community that's come into America, and they come from their immediate cultures, while this so-called soul or Black or whatever mark that might be used to identify that culture, they identify from that lens. And so what I've seen is that really it comes down to people fear what they don't understand. And so if I don't understand your culture, I'm not going to take the necessary steps to understand or have a conversation with you. When you are secure in who you are and secure in your culture and secure in your identity, you have a perspective and a foundation to stand on. So then now I'm not afraid to ask, like, hey, are you Nigerian? Are you Ghanaian? Are you Cameroon? Where do you come from? Hey, tell me about your culture. Let me tell you about my culture. So now it's more of an open bridge that we can see that we have more in common than we don't have in common. But I think that it's that gray area where we're blinded by our fears. We're blinded by really the true fact of the matter is that being divided and conquered, because there's no reason, why Haitians should not rock with a Dominican. There should be no reason why a Mexican shouldn't like a Puerto Rican. It just makes no sense, because we all are one people with just multiple cultures. And that should show the degree of how powerful we are as a people, versus me looking at it as, well, your culture is different from mine, so we shouldn't interact. I'm gonna stick with what I know.
Thank you so much, my brother. You do agree, though, if you don't, let me know, that we have not had the most fluid relationship over the decades,
as far as a people,
as a bigger community. Yes, as a people.
Yes. I mean, I definitely agree, because it goes back to my point that, if you fear what you don't understand, you're not taking the necessary steps to understand that person. There's no reason why everybody on this panel, we shouldn't have an open dialogue conversation, but we all know it's a lot of closed-minded people, because they are content with what they know, and they're afraid to open up vulnerably to expose who they are, because maybe they might not know who they are. So you might have individuals that come from outside of the country. They come in, they have a culture, right? They were raised a certain way where they're like, hey, this is how our people were raised in my country. And I want to embrace you coming to the United States of America. But you have an individual that might look at themselves as, well, my only history is bondage. That's all I know. Right. And so now they can't go back. So that's sort of a insecurity that is groomed in their mentality to not partake or learn or be willing to learn something that they don't know.
Thank you so much. The reason why I followed up with that question is that some people tell me in the face that this issue is not an issue. It's a facade. It does not exist, and so I sometimes some people like to make me feel like I'm crazy, and I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. It's a clear observation. It's a fact that we don't have the most fluid relationship. And so at least I have 5 people agreeing with me on this panel. So thank you for confirming that I'm not crazy.
No, not crazy.
No, that was just by the way. There are some interesting comments coming in. We will read them as we go along. The phone number to chime in with is 815-277-5047. You can please go ahead, call in and share your experience or your opinion. Now, I'll get there's some very interesting point over there. Juanita, no, Natalie, I said I was going to come to you. Your mother said, make sure you don't bring an African home. Did she tell you why? Or did you figure out why she kind of gave you that strong warning?
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's interesting, and I will fold in something that Dominic said and something that Juanita said in my thought process here. One of the reasons she said, don't try to make friends with them. Don't try to be friends. They don't want to be friends with you. They think we had a very strong, we were called Black then. We had a very strong upbringing of who we were and the foundation that we laid in this country. We were always told that our blood is in this country, and it is in every country where you see a Black person. So it wasn't fear that made my mother say that. It was her lived experience trying to, reach out. And it might have been also that the Africans that were coming over, whether they be Nigerians, Ghanaians, and things like that, coming to the University of Chicago, they were already on their master's degrees and things, and we're just middle-class people, and they had the money to come over there. So maybe they were upper middle class, but they looked down on African Americans and Black people. We are not smart enough. We don't work hard enough. We don't. And my mom said, look, so many of the freedom movements African Americans have spearheaded or been part of. So for an African to come over here, tell us that they don't believe that we work and we do this. And, my favorite thing is Africans and Jamaicans work harder than African Americans. And I'm always surprised because the first thing is anyone that immigrates, they are self-selecting. You are a self-selecting group of people. You are going to work harder. And my thing is, but I was in Africa and I was here. And there are some people that work very hard and there are some people who do not. We all love to party now.
Right.
He's right. We all love to party all the way across. So that I can get to. But it doesn't always come from a place of fear. It's the lived experience, especially for the middle class. So even though we were veered and we wanted to learn more about Africa, and even when I was in Africa, people would say things, you're half caste or just Kenya, Cote d'Ivoire. I'm not asking to be part of the tribe. I just want to know more, don't push me aside.
Yeah.
Really. So, but I don't let that stand in the way because I know people are people the more that I've traveled. And truthfully, to Dominic's point, sometimes if you look through an economic lens, more countries and behaviors are the same. When I lived in Russia, I thought Russian women, American Black women, you have to do everything. That's you are doing. I love men, but you have to do everything. The woman does everything. So that was, So that was what my mom said. I mean, she kind of grew out of that. The more we would drag people home, what can you do?
Yeah. And you know what? What you said is very powerful because a lot of African Americans have heard this and either heard or felt this. And so it adds up to resentment if they already have that against us. And it makes it so difficult for them to even look at us. As an African, I don't know if anybody else wanted to chime in on what
I did. I would.
I want to chime in too.
Okay. Juanita, go ahead.
I really agree with both Dominique and Natalie. It's interesting because as Black people, we have so much to contend with. We talk about the colorism. I remember growing up and my mom was like, you know, don't marry my grandmother. It was like, don't marry anyone really dark, or don't hang, you know, with the Africans, or don't hang with the African Americans. But it's funny because we deal with that. And then the other thing is not having the identity. I remember growing up in the 70s and, you know, how African Americans, it was, and even before then, growing up, it was a sense of family, a sense of community, a sense of, you know, I grew up in South LA, and I knew all our neighbors and they watched out for us and the whole bit. Then drugs came into the neighborhood and a whole lot of other stuff. And then how they show us as African Americans, where it's just the mother and the kids, no dad in the family. Whereas coming from a Latin country, not only do we have the dad in the family, but the grandparents as well living with us. But what I was going to piggyback on saying is that what we teach our kids here when we go to the schools to talk about unity is that when you bring up the question about pride and culture, all the other kids, Latinos, Asians, all of them raise their hands and they're proud. You get the African American kids and they're holding their head down. Some just don't know how to identify with their culture, who they are. One of the things my group and I like to say is hold your head up. If you're African American, you have to hold your head up, because we as immigrants are standing on your shoulders, your parents' shoulders, your grandparents' shoulders, because you opened the way for us here in America. So it's something that we have to teach our kids, especially, and again, we have the classes. You have the lower class, middle class, upper class, and it depends on the area of where you live that African-American kids are still trying to figure it out. And for me, I think it's our duty to show them who they are, to talk to them, to encourage them to be proud, because this country was built on the backs of their ancestors.
Man.
I want to thank you for that. That really supports the way that we grew up.
My friend is watching. What's his name? I really want. What's his name? He's online right now. Kwabena Jude. I know you're watching and listening. And I said this exact words to you. We had a heated argument. Now it's not to say he's a bad guy, but this is we engaged in this. I said the exact same words, Juanita, that you said. So thank you so much for sharing this.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Char, go ahead.
So just to, like what you said, Juanita, is just the point exactly. Me being a first generation descendant of I have a Caribbean background. My family migrated here. And so I'm the product of that person coming here, being exposed to both traditions and history and culture and everything that goes along with this. So with this, it's more of you take what you learn, but you adapt. So being told that you don't have a history, that's not true. We have a history. We had a history before slavery. So when someone teaches you something like that, especially in the school system, and pumps that in your brain, and you're like, this can't be right. Well, someone that doesn't live here, they're going to say, well, I didn't experience that. No, they didn't experience that, but they came from that. It might not have been them indirectly. They experienced it because certain rules and certain law of the land still apply till this day. You know, some people are still getting, removal from Queen Elizabeth. So it's just to have that and say, okay, look, you are here, but law of the land, yes, we all are still one family. We're not divided regardless if you are from someplace else. If you're Black or if you're African American or African descent, guess what? We all bleed the same. We all look alike. We have different cultural backgrounds, but more than less likely, they're the same. We eat the same foods, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
The dialect might be different. The language might be different. Some things are quite the same. The music is connection. It's the same. So you have to can't put that prospect of I'm better than you because I'm from here. At the end of the day, if I go outside and I see someone else that is of European descent, they don't associate me as being Caribbean or anything as that. I'm associated as African American or Black. So that whole connotation, that all has to go out the door.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, thank you so much, Charles. Jabal, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for having me on this conversation today, because this is really, it's beautiful what we're doing on this debate. The only hope I have is that at the end, either people who are watching, who are connected, either even us on this debate, we can spread the message out there so that people will understand and will know some stuff that they didn't know before. Like I'm discovering a lot of things now. I'm having a lot of informations about my fellow Black people of the United States that I didn't know before. And thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you, Juanita, because it's really, I would say, instructive about how to behave now for the future with my people and everybody around me. So what I can say is that we have a conversation about the origins, our cultures, which are different, but we should always come back to the point that we are the same, and that's the most difficult part for sometimes for Black people. You know, we don't, and I'm sorry, Dominic, if I'm always saying Black people. I don't know, it's like a term that I found already in the system.
Listen,
probably gonna get to your point one day.
Yeah, feel free. Black, African, go ahead.
Yeah, so you know, I come to realize that there is nothing that different between people, Africans. I want to say Africans now to generalize and say that we're all the same, no matter where we are, the matter the backgrounds. And I'm happy to realize that we are very rich culturally, psychologically, because Black people have been through a lot over the years. We're still going through a lot, but the most important thing is now is to start talking about those things. I want to be able to come out of this debate and meet with Dominic on the street and start talking with him about everything without any barriers or any. Yes, I want to be able to do it. Believe me, I have this conversation almost all the time with my colleagues at work. Some of my Native Americans, African Americans, and we're talking about this, and they give me sometimes some of those reasons, like the reasons that Natalie was saying, for example, concerning her parents. Most of them have grew up with that mindset. That's why it's easier for them to not open up. They think it's better to just stay in our boundaries and not try to cross anything, because if we go there, we might be bitten by something. But that's not true. Honestly, when I came here in the United States, my will was to meet Black people, interact with them, know what they deeply think about Africans, because there was that slavery time when that people were talking about, saying like, oh, Africans are the one who sold Black Americans. That's how they landed here. But those stories, that history happened a very long time ago. I don't find myself guilty of what happened that time, but I feel sad for what happened to all those people. And if I can do something to fix or how they're feeling now, I would do it. But since it's almost impossible, because you never know, people might have different reasons for how they for their feelings. The only thing I can do is just to show them the person I am and so that they can see that with this guy coming from Africa, yeah, we can up and up. We can break the boundaries and
Yeah.
just share what we have.
Exactly.
I have a lot to share with Black people.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go. I've been in Europe. I've been in France. I met people, like I said, we are all the same everywhere. It's like all other races. There are good people, and I think Charles said it. We have good people on different races and bad people everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not only Black people. And I want us to be able to share what we have. I want to be able to teach my dialect. I want to be able to teach the way how we're doing music in my country, the way how we're playing instruments. We'll teach them the different names of instruments, because for example, we have the djembe, which is a very old, like the very first rhythm instrument ever created. The djembe, a drum.
We'll come back to you to show us how to rock the djembe. But I want to get Dominic's viewpoint and everything that has been said so far. I know he has something to say. If not, we can come back to you or Juanita. Dominic.
Yeah, I just I think that in heart, I really really feel what everybody's saying. I was thinking about when Roots was mentioned, and I was thinking about the scene that in Roots where, you know, Kunta Kinte was speaking about his past, and he was kind of whispering it to one of the other slaves, and he was saying like, yeah, I have a history, you know. And then he was even talking about being a Muslim, you know, and he was just talking about it wasn't yet lost yet. And as we know, with many tribes, many different nations, you know, we had our grandparents that was the storytellers, right? And they spoke in stories, but these stories and parables was actually passing down the torch, the lineage and the history of who they were, right? And so these children were able to take that, and that's how it was carried on through bondage. You know, just using Roots as an example, this is where this moment where this storytelling, this information was halted and it became dormant. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, for example, my mother can only teach me what she knows, right? But what she's teaching me, it's not her fault that she's only able to teach me what she knows. And she's only getting it from her father and her mother, the same way that they got it from their parents. So it's like, where was that cutoff line where it reached me and my generation, where now we have to kind of figure it out? And now that we're in this information age where we have a little bit more access to research and finding out different things about who we are. And, you know, again, we have so much in common than we don't have in common. And so just even looking at Roots, like when I believe it was Juanita talking about, you know, that child with their head, looking down and not really feeling like they have something to offer. You have everything to offer. But now we have to re-educate our children. We have to tell them that they do have an illustrious history, that it doesn't start with bondage, and that we all are the same people. When you take into the fact that we're all the same people, we're now accepting the fact that no matter what your nationality is, no matter where you come from, where your culture is, our ancestors is still the founders of science, still the founders of religion, still the founders of all of these different inventions that other people would like to take credit for, but we really are a part of that illustrious history. And when you start to spark that into a little child to say, oh, okay, it's bigger than just bondage, because that's what they're taught in school. They're taught that they came from bondage and nothing else before that. But when they start to understand that they have roots that's connected to Haitians, has roots that's connected to Nigerians, Ghanaians, whatever it may be, we all are the same people. But because we are so divided and conquered, it's that segregation, like, okay, well, I got to fend for myself and I have to learn what my parents taught me. I'll say this last point. It's a theory called Maslow's pyramid. And you know how you have like the different sections where you know, if you need psychological needs before you even care about safety needs. You need safety needs before you even care about love.
You need love before you can even have a self-esteem, and you need self-esteem before you can even have self-realization. So it's like, how could you fault this child that's in the hood that grew up in the United States of America in a poor neighborhood? They parents don't really know their history, and they just trying to eat. They just trying to eat, or they just trying to, trying to find love, or just trying to have shelter. So their mindset is totally different than maybe somebody that is still in that same situation, but they actually have a culture. And I'm not saying that it's you should look at this person different than that person. I'm just saying that, even speaking to the other sister when she was saying that we did try to embrace Kenya, we did try to embrace all of these things, and they looked down on us. I remember that being young, like, yeah, Africans don't like us. And I was like, why? You know what I mean? But now it's like, man, if I see it now, where I speak to a Nigerian and I'll be like, oh, you're Igbo. And then just the fact that I said Igbo, they're like, oh, you know something. So now they say, oh, you actually took the time to get educated with my culture. You know what I mean? And then even talking to a European, and you can say, oh, you're Polish, you're from that side of the mountain, right? And then they could be like, oh, you took time to be educated with who I am. So it's like, if we actually take the time to be open to other people's culture, it actually would tell us more about ourselves. And that's my piece.
Can I jump in?
If I could say something just to complete what you just said, Dominic.
Let Natalie. Don't forget, my brother Jabal. Don't forget.
Yeah,
Natalie.
I didn't want to say anything about mansplaining. I didn't want to get into that. That's another show.
Right.
What the women know. That's another show.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about what Dominic said, I'm trying to figure out where this breakdown has happened in this generation and the last generation, because I grew up and we were race people, and we were raised by race people going back as far as we could remember to our origins in the United States through slavery, and when you say something like, maybe somebody else who has a culture, even if they're poor and they have a culture to stand on, what it makes me wonder is, where did that breakdown start? Because when slaves came out of slavery, the first thing they did or tried to do was build schools. The first thing whatever we had is our culture. However, it seemed broken to other people. They tried to have schools and they wanted to get married. So you can be as what seems like as broken to the outside world, but you have a familial culture, and then your neighborhood, and whatever your world is. So we know this about slavery because we can see they did three things: schools, marriage, and land ownership. As broken as they tried to make us, we were able to do those things and build churches. So I'm trying to find out where the disconnect is and when this happened. Some people say it happened after the Great Migration here, because even being in those communities in the South with all the segregation and the fear and things like that, we were all together still. My people come immediately from Mount Bayou. That was one of the Black towns in the United States. They helped found that town. It's not always a good history about Mount Bayou either, because that's self-segregation. So you have to know all of these things. And then growing up in Chicago, what's great is it is a melting pot. It's a city of immigrants. It is segregated, but I grew up with Polish people, French people, everything that you could want. So I was lucky. And that was self-segregation. My mother said, you're going to grow up with white children. You will grow up with white children, and you will get to know everything.
Okay. Natalie, I didn't mean to, but I didn't want Jabal to forget his point. But
Okay.
powerful contribution there, Natalie. I'll come back to you. There are a few things we have to unfold this evening. But man, I'm loving it, and I hope that for folks that are watching are keeping up with the conversation. If you're not learning, at least you can contribute. Okay, you can teach us a thing or two that you know. Okay, and because this is a platform where we build, and so please feel free to do so. The number is 815. It's a minute to 7 p.m. Central. You're still watching the Progressive Mind Show. This topic is Africans versus the diasporans. And as I said in my intro, the versus is not a competition. It's not us versus them, but replace the versus there with accountability as responsibility, the moral responsibility, moral accountability on the part of the African to the diaspora. African Americans, Caribbeans, Latinx. Replace that and think about it. Again, feel free to call in at with 817-227 815-227 815-277-5047. Jabal, go ahead with your point.
Yeah, I just wanted to complete what Dominic said about how we should learn from different from the other brothers and sisters and cultures.
Yeah,
because that's how we will start being together. And I think that's true, because I want to talk about my personal experience. When I landed in Chicago, I was a little bit frustrated at the beginning, because first of all, I had to learn the language. I'm still learning to speak, fluently, speak English fluently, so that I can be understandable to everybody. And I was a little bit frustrated about that, because there are times when I met some people, and when you start talking to the person and the person has like that kind of trying to back up a little bit from you, because he feels like, no, if you don't speak English, that means you don't really know anything.
Right.
And I experienced that. And it's something I would say that would probably kind of push away someone, or maybe make the person stop when he feels like, when he wants to be integrated in the system, because he will feel like, okay, these people might not accept me for who I am, or just because maybe I cannot have a conversation with them, I don't speak fluently, so they might start judging me. And only that for that reason, I could not open up pretty easy with people when I just got here. Yeah, it's just because I've learned that, okay, when you just get here, it's a new system, you have to learn things. So get yourself into that, try to know something. The time when you're going to be able to have conversations with people, then you say what you have to say. So I started learning from little things, having conversations with people, taking classes for ESL. It wasn't really helping me because I wasn't doing that much over there, but conversations with people was helping me a lot. So I did that for over like a year, and I was able to have good conversations, approximately good conversations, I would say, because I was able now to say what I feel, what I had in mind.
Yeah.
And that's when people started opening up a little bit with me. So just to answer the Dominic and saying that, your point was right, was true. Some Africans might look at you and think like, okay, we underestimate you, just because they think that, or maybe by opinion, we are better than you. But that's not true. We said it already, and I will say it again. In every culture, in every races, in every backgrounds, you have goods and bad people. So the only thing is just to embrace the person who is in front of you and try to get the good things out of it. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I can say, because that's what I do every day. I treat everybody the same. I treat everybody as I would like to be treated, and it's working. It's working easily.
Thank you so much. It's 4 minutes past 7, and this conversation has been interesting so far. Africans working out our relationship with the African diaspora. I always see ourselves as the mother trying to reach out to, our siblings, our relatives, because that's who we are. We're just relatives. We're distant cousins, and until we come to understand that, we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot. Because look, we're not working and we're not connecting, other people are learning us and try to find out who we are, right? If you go to the African American community here, you have the Lebanese, the Palestinians, Indians setting up businesses in their communities, right? Trying to take their dollar, everybody wants to take advantage of us. Same thing in Africa. It's only other people who don't look like us who are trying to governize the resources and we are not taking advantage of it. So we have a big community, huge Black community globally.
Yes.
And so the more we realize that we're not different and we can't keep looking at each other differently and we connect, the better for us. Look at the abundance of resources that exist among us. And so we can take advantage of it. We can invest in each other's community, whether you want to invest on the south side or west side of Chicago, whether you want to invest in the urban communities or go to Africa and find some opportunities. These are some of the things we have to look at, or go to the Caribbean or Latina, Cuba, Haiti, Belize. There are a ton of opportunities, but we don't talk to each other. We don't interact. So we don't know all of these opportunities that are readily available for us. We keep looking outside for help, especially I'm talking to the Africans now. It's always China. China, come and give us some aid. Europe, come and give us some aid. But you have the African American community who literally built America. So if the greatest country in the world was built by a group of, not solely them, but you know what I'm talking about. So if African American contributed in building America, and America is the greatest country in this world, so it's ABC. That means they have the know-how, the resources, the intelligence to contribute to the development of Africa if they want to. So we have to reach out to them and start, creating that type of relationship instead of these little sentiments that we have engaged ourselves in. It always gets passionate for me, so please forgive me.
May I speak on a point? Go ahead, Juanita.
Is it okay?
Yeah, Juanita, you haven't spoken in a while. My apologies. Please go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. I'm excited about this, and I'm excited that we are having this conversation again. This is nothing new for me and ISBL, the International Society of Black Latinos.
Yes.
But what I'm excited about, we keep focusing on what was. What is that we're talking. We're the storytellers now.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are educating our kids. We're the ones that are telling our kids the stories of our ancestors. When we have a gala that we do every other year, and in that gala's performance, and it's all historical, it always starts off in Africa. We go through the Caribbean, and we always end up in the United States. And what the whole idea is to talk about the kings and queens and what in Africa, what was, what the Africans discovered, what they brought out, the scientists, the doctors, the first church, a Christian church in Ethiopia. Then we come to the United States through the Caribbeans. We talk about what the influence was and the contributions in Afro-Latino made in history. Then we come to the United States, where we're all here making it a better life. So for us, we are the storytellers. We need to keep telling our stories, our history, not let somebody tell our history, but let us tell our history. Let us teach our kids and let us teach each other. I love what Dominique said. You learn from one another when you just ask a simple question. So how are you? Who are you? Just, we teach our kids. Be aggressive when it comes to learning about other cultures.
I love it.
Yes.
We find out, and I'll end with this, but when you start with food or music, you find out that the food that came from Africa, the grains, everything that we cook, from tamales to to grits, to whatever, when you start thinking about it, it started in Africa. And then when you talk about Latin American countries, the first Black president was in Mexico. He was the second president in Mexico who was Afro-Mexican, Vicente Guerrera. So when we start to talk to one another, we need to tell the kids and each other our stories. And the best friends we have right now is Google. You can just Google things and find things. You know, before it was the dictionary, the encyclopedia. See, I'm that old. But now we have Google where I mean, I keep Google and learn about things. Tonight, I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff so I can learn. But this is what we need to do and not concentrate so much on the negativity, but bring it to the positive.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
If I could briefly just make a point that impacted me on everything that was said, and especially what Juanita highlighted. Again, like I said, I'm a Moorish American Muslim. I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And my prophet Noble Drew Ali said this. He said that we are what our ancient forefathers were without contradiction of doubt. And so with that being said, and I think, Alinko, you've been saying this too a lot, accountability. The only way we're going to take accountability is to take into account of what took place and where we are today. And if we take accountability in what we're doing today, it's going to make an impact for the future. And so we have to understand the truth is that our ancestors have an illustrious history and they are the founders of everything. But there was a point where they strayed after the gods of Europe whom they knew nothing of because of maybe materialism, because of greed, because of a certain point where they wanted to have access to something where, you know, you have that famous quote where the missionaries came to Africa. They had the Bible. The Africans had the land. They told them to get on their knees and pray when they opened their eyes. The European had the land and they had the Bible. But it's just the example of there was a certain point where we have to take into account that we messed up.
Exactly.
Right? And if we are what our ancient forefathers are without contradiction of doubt, we're actually paying for what we did wrong in the past. But the most important thing is that if we learn from what we did wrong in the past and we make amends now with us as a people, we now are going to make an impact to what we're going to benefit from in the future. And if it is a point where you're reincarnated into that new baby 200 years down the line, guess what? The work you did right now, you benefited yourself when you was born again. So we have to make sure that that's how connected we are. That's how much of a one people we are, is that we're affecting our very future from our past and the present moment. That's my piece on it.
I think I'm going to keep this team for every diaspora conversation I'm going to have going forward. Jesus Christ. We've had different sets, respect to all the other groups. Everybody did well, but I'm just saying that awesome conversation so far. Any somebody wanted to say something?
Yes, I actually want to say something.
Oh yeah, try, go ahead.
Dominic, I agree. With that, I mean, when you say take accountability, it does mean that going forward, it means accountability, and it also means forgiveness. So you can't right a wrong. You can't right that past. You can move forward. We have to learn how to push forward regardless of what the situation is. We can't let that be a crutch for us.
Yeah.
Regardless of when we come in, whether if you are coming in assimilated, you came in as an immigrant, you came in, however you got here. The focus is, how can I contribute to make this better?
Thank you so much. I'm still trying to remember one powerful phrase that Juanita used. Juanita used. She said, "We have to be aggressive."
Aggressive.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We have to be aggressive.
Correct.
You're gonna have to text me that one so I can post it on my social media. We have to be aggressive.
She's right by saying that, and the reason why she's right by saying that is because if I drive around the neighborhood, if I drive around Illinois, everybody that comes here that is not of color, of my color rather, they take no time to make sure that they build up that neighborhood. I can go into Skokie, it's a Jewish neighborhood. Everything is 100% Jewish. They put in their money and that's what they do. They don't go without. That's their community. When I go to, I can go to Chinatown. That's their community. If I go to, there's Filipinos, they're spread out, but they come together really quick. They're not without, and they still believe in that culture of we all are still in the same house. So when you get to the African American, we want to go out and venture on our own. We are the warrior. We want to go out and seek and find out and come back and report. But the problem is when we do that, we still do it. Some of us still live in the houses with parents and stuff like that, which is still good. But what they fail to realize is that sometimes some traditions are good, but when you get somewhere else, you now have to kind of get out of a different mind frame because now you have to be able to rebuild and teach your children how to rebuild and teach them how to flourish.
Yeah. Juanita wanted to get
Just to piggyback real quickly, Shar, I totally agree with what you're saying up to a point because we had that same thing. Think about that. When we talk Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had our villages, we had our businesses, we had all of that. And I say we because I'm here in America. And we still have our community because when you think about it, even though it's not like, you know, we see others, we still have our community. We still go to certain people. I still have mentors that I go to. I still have, you know, and it's all in the community. I live in Baldwin Hills, and I love the fact that, you know, it's mostly African Americans. It's a mixed community, but I feel like that community.
Yeah.
Again, we have to come back to that because I think that, you know, Natalie kept a question that she has been asking is where did it start? Where did it end? And again, it was ended when they started filtrating drugs and stuff into our neighborhoods. Because if you think during the Civil War, not the Civil War, I'm sorry, during Dr. Martin Luther King, we had community, we had people. Then in the 60s, 70s, and the drugs started coming into our neighborhoods, and a bunch of things started happening. The lack of education, the lack of school, you know, proper schools for us. That's how they have kept certain communities down. So now again, we're looking at this, and what I love, I keep going back to, I'm excited. I'm excited because we're talking, we're doing this. We have investment clubs. We're trying to get things together. So my nieces and nephew, they are now growing up, buying their homes. They know about, you know, stocks and investments and that sort of thing. So it's coming. We've learned. And one last thing I'll say is, those that were here, the African Americans that were here and enslaved, we have learned so much. They didn't get credit for building so many things from, I bet you, refrigerators, irons, all of that. We never will know who really invented that because they had to make their work easier. So we know that a lot of that stuff came from their country, from Africa, and they learned how to make things easier for us. So, you know, we just have to just keep it going.
Thank you.
Keep the education.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think maybe, Shar, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what you're trying to paint is that the African diaspora, not just maybe the African American who built Tulsa, Oklahoma, and had a thriving community before it was torn down or destroyed. I think what you're saying is the bigger African diaspora, right?
Yeah.
So that we should not be afraid of having maybe a thriving community where Africans can freely go to. Let's say if it's a huge mall or a huge community, we can Africans, Caribbeans, African Americans, we can all interact in doing these businesses together, right? I think, Shar, that's what.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It comes into that aspect, and you're like, They're like, no, I don't want to do that, or I'm afraid to do that, or like I said, the mindset is different.
Yep.
And what I bump into is it's still an old mentality of thinking. So for me,
yeah,
I can say it's like you can migrate here, but you only have one goal. And that goal is just to do just that. You're going to get your house. You're going to do all these things except for
war. Yes.
And so you can't have that mindset anymore, because if you're going to flourish the land, you have to be active. People have to know that you are here. Just like you said, you have to be able to tell that story.
Yes.
So
yes,
if I'm telling that story and I want to pass that on to someone else or tell them because they don't know, I have to paint that, and I have to have a different goal, not just being a settler.
Yeah.
Because
we live in the diaspora. To my fellow Africans, the educated ones, the non-educated ones, to the Caribbean community, to the Latino community, let's look at it this way. What good does it do us if we, like Shar said, we invest 95% of our resources and our time in building mansions and acquiring assets in Africa, where we don't live much, where we probably might spend, a month, maybe a total of 2 weeks in a whole year. And that is for those who go to Africa every year. Some go every 5 years. My point is, we live 95 or 99% of our lives here. And so it's good for us to acquire properties and do things in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Central America, wherever we come from. But we have to, like Shar and Juanita and all of us are saying, we have to start paying attention to this bigger community here, that there is all of us. How can I invest in the Black communities here? How can I invest in our community? And if I say community, the African diaspora community, it includes going to where the Caribbeans live, going to where African Americans live, going to where the Central Americans live in their communities, and say, how can we do business together? How can we invest in each other? And how can we combine, partner, and come up with these ideas and build here too? Because our children are here. Our generations after us, we're making them here. They're born here. They're going to live most of their lives here too. So it's good for us to look into investing here, and it begins with working out our relationship. Because if I don't trust you, I can't do business with you. And so it begins with respecting everyone, regardless of how we look, how we speak, how we dress, because we all have culture and we have history backing our culture. There's a reason why we all do things the way we do. And it's very important that we try to learn each other's history so we can coexist and respect each other as we are supposed to. A lot of people say that, so some of the points that you made, Juanita, and maybe Natalie, that African Americans, there's this perception, or that although they're lazy, they don't want to work. And Africans say that a lot. A lot of Africans think and say this a lot. Natalie, but you guys rightly said, we have the same situation back home. In Ghana, for instance, people go to work sometimes at 11 when they're supposed to start at 8. They leave at 3 when they're supposed to leave at 5. We do these things. But for some reason, when we come to America, we feel like we forget about all these nuances that we have going back home. And then we look at some of the shenanigans in the African American community.
Yeah.
And we put the entire over 40 million people in African Americans in the United States in that one little box. In that person that is being irresponsible at work, which we have plenty of that back home. And we say, oh, look at them, they don't like to work. Oh, look at them, they're sagging their pants. Bro, we have African youth sagging their pants every day, all the time. And we have Africans walking on the streets being, engaging in gang and armed robbery and all of that. What we are saying is that when we see that here, but those Africans we see back home engaging these things are some of the ones that have falling on the wayside and not being responsible. The same thing here. but those few does not make up the majority of the many responsible people in this. Natalie, I was talking to many responsible folks in this country.
Mhm.
I was talking to you, Natalie, behind the scenes, that the African American community bring home about, what is it, 1.2 trillion or 2 trillion every year?
Yes. I don't know the statistics, but
Dominic, you may know this.
maybe Dominic will know this better. But I know we're great contributors to the American economy.
Absolutely. So I'm just trying to work with my fellow Africans, especially those that still have this perception, that it's not like the way you see it. If you read and if you learn more, make a friend, talk to them, and you might probably find out. The point I wanted to make is, the question I wanted to ask Natalie is, when people say, there's a lot of baby mama situations, single parents in the African American community, you don't like to work, and there's a gang. What would you want to say to them? And I know that, of course, people just didn't want to just get up to want to be, single mothers. There's a history behind it. Please help us, if you can, in a short while, help people who might still be thinking that way understand that there are reasons why you may see, or you see these types of situations in the African American community.
Well, the first thing I want to say is,
yes,
like you said, nobody grows up to want to be single mother or to come from a family like that. I think in some ways, just like what Juanita was saying, the way that the American economic system is set up, I never believed it was out for us, but the more that I read and understood and was in university, just reading about how certain things were set up, welfare, how certain things were set up in the welfare system that kind of broke us apart. There are so many things like that. And sometimes when you have so many blows like that, and it's over and over and it's generational, you can't admire yourself. You can't. It's just very difficult. I don't make excuses. My mother grew up poor, but she had a mother that worked. And my father grew up in, your average, African-American middle-class family. Mother, father, everybody went to university, everybody held jobs, property, that sort of thing. So you have to be tethered to something like that still. That's what I feel. And for saying that African Americans are lazy, we see, even in this pandemic, we've seen who the frontline workers are, who are the people getting COVID because they don't have PPE. We see that we are working. We're always working. I live in South Shore, and my heart breaks when I see these young women and sometimes young men and young families. They don't have a car, but they're getting on the bus. Their kids look immaculate. They may look crazy, but their kids are immaculate. They're making sure their kids look immaculate. They get off the bus, they take the kid to school, and then they get back on the bus to go to work.
Yeah, that's true.
You cannot tell me about my people. You will not get that from me. Yes, there's a sector of, but it's just like you're saying, in Africa, there's a sector of people who don't work and people who cut up and do shenanigans. I think one of the most fun things, it's a caricature, but watching Nollywood movies saying, oh, okay, I got you. Right. Yeah, exactly. And then living overseas and seeing that and just saying, no, it's all over. And larger systems that have tried to break us up. Yeah. We've come up against that every place. In Latin America, overseas, you talk to people, the families have split. Some immigrate to Canada, some immigrate to Europe, London, and some come over here. And you see their different perspectives, but they all have felt some kind of prejudice. Yeah. They all have felt that they've been kept down because of their color or their accent, even though in their countries, they have degrees. Yeah. Yeah.
Last question before we go to the comments on the feed, and I know there's a ton of them. Please pardon for not reading the comments yet. We wanted to get some of these things out before, but we're going to be going to the comments in a little bit. But before we go, Dominic, to some of the people within the African diaspora, it could be Caribbeans, it could be Latinx, and I'm going to go to Juanita to tell us what are some of the stereotypes in the Latinx or Caribbean community against, maybe Africans or, other African diasporans. But for those who still think that it's been 400 years and so African Americans, get over it, why there's so much opportunity here. You are not working. Look at the guy. I mean, the guys don't want to work. The guys are always on the street doing drugs. And we see that. And again, we box the entire population of the African American into that lens. If somebody is thinking that way within the African American the African diaspora, how would you want to respond to them? There's an opportunity for us to learn, and so please, again, from being an educated brother and a musician, and knowing our story and your story, how would you want to respond to that, please?
Well, I really wanted to camel back off of Natalie. She was making some great points, and I think that it's really fundamental principles that we have to reinforce with our people. And one of those things start with just having a deeper appreciation for womanhood. We have to have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. I'm gonna be honest with you, our people that are labeled as Black or as an African American in the United States of America, it's one unique problem. And that unique problem is the Negro problem. It's a Negro state of mind. It's the reason why we accept a joke on why we're on CP time. It's a reason why we are okay with being lazy or being content or being on welfare. It's a reason why that we can be tricked in the sense of, oh, we're fighting for women liberation, but where's the family as a whole, right? And it's like, these are fundamental things that are being lost because it's a Negro disease state of mind. And that comes with the identity crisis. So when ones might question like, well, why is it like that? Let me make this very, very clear. Our people work hard. Our people put in the time for their family. It's just that what is being promoted is the Negro state of mind. What's being promoted is what you have regular, you have ones that are willing to sell themselves out for the material gain, to put themselves in position to be popularized. That's the reason why rap has changed. I was thinking about when Natalie said, well, when did it change? It's like, it's been a plan in every department. When it comes to hip hop, as me as an artist, I mean, just think about when we had like House Party with like Kid and Play, and we had all of those different things at that time, probably when you was coming up, and it was like, they actually made it cool to go to college. And then all of a sudden it was niggas with attitude. And then all of a sudden it was gangster rap. And then now, hey, if you want to make money, the perception, you got to rap about this. You know what I'm saying? And that's not going to let somebody else that's going to uplift the culture, uplift the people to have a type of platform like that. So it is a plan to promote a certain perspective and entertain a certain thing, and not show you the real ones that's in the trenches, that's really representing our people. We are actually a great people. We never stop being a great people. We put it in the work, but it's these type of conversations that have to keep going. So others, like watching on Facebook, they could be like, oh man, I never heard of that before. That changed my perspective. It's just, that's the reality that we have to face. So it's a lot of work that we have to put in. But I do believe that it comes down to, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Knowledge of self. Because when you have knowledge of self, nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take that from you. But when you don't have knowledge of self, somebody can make you believe something that you're not. And the greatest weapon in this world is psychological warfare. Are you the pawn on the chessboard, or do you actually know how to have foresight, how to raise your posterity, how to really engage with your wife and know that she's the companion of your life? She's not somebody that you just had a marriage license with. She's a companion of your life. You're trying to build something, and there's no nation without family.
I love that, bro. I love that line, knowing yourself, because when you know yourself, it helps your confidence. You are not intimidated. You can, it helps that your ability to love more and to reach out. And I think that's a powerful line, man. That's another line that I'm going to have to put on my social media page. Knowing yourself. No, seriously, I'm learning a lot this evening. Thank you so much. Guys, it's very, very important that we got to know ourselves, know who you are, know where you're from, know your worth. And it only helps you, and it helps you be a better a human being in this society that we're living in. So I know you guys may have some comments, but there's a ton of them on the feed. So we're going to try and take some. Here is Priscilla. Hola, proud member of ISB. Okay, so I'm sure that's one of your people, right? And she says, music dancing helps our immune. Thank you. She says Puerto Rico. Okay, Puerto Rico, I think this comment came when you were mentioning the countries that make up the Latino community. And I think, so Puerto Rico is one of them. Thank you so much. Brenda, I'm trying to pronounce the first name, but it's hard. Kutushimere Brenda. Okay, beautiful. Now let's see if I can get this person. She says, my experience leaving Puerto Rico to the mainland was not positive, was very bullied. Yes, and these are things that we used to do in the past. Thank God it's not profound now, even though it's subtle, it's benign. You know, we have them here and there. That's why we're having these conversations, so that, you know, people who bully or people who think of bullying because, you know, you sound different, even though you're a black person, you know, we can, you know, work on getting rid of all these things. So thank you so much for sharing. Interesting topic. This is Kwabna Jude. Gege, I am suspecting this is you. If it's true, thanks for joining the show, and feel free to contribute some more. John says, thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Jabal, my African-American friend asked me if it is true that people in Africa live in trees. I told him it was true that the American embassy is a tree next to the tree where my family lives. He said that it is not possible. I gave him Google to Cameroon or Ghana. Maybe he says Google Cameroon or Ghana, and to let him know. When I met him again, so he asked him to Google Ghana and Cameroon, and then he said when we met again, he apologized. I felt bad that I challenged him that way. However, it was worth it. I wish people could just use Google to research basic things for themselves, and this goes with the knowing yourself conversation that we're having. So knowing yourself is very, very important. And once you know yourself, then actually, whilst you're finding yourself, you can find the connection with others to you.
Yes.
So it's very, very important.
I have to give a connection back to that particular thing. Who is Yannick Noah?
Okay, I can answer to that one. Yannick Noah is a Cameroonian.
He's the best tennis player.
Yes,
best tennis
born and raised, but born and raised for a part of his life in France. Right. Born from a Cameroonian dad and a French mom, but he's really deep in the culture and the traditions, because he lived most of the part of his life in Cameroon, where he learned from the traditions and the cultures. And yeah, he started playing tennis for the French national team, became a world champion, and yeah, now he's kind of teaching his own experience across the world.
Right. And who did he give the bulls? Who did he give the bulls?
I honestly don't know.
Yakim Noah.
Yeah, I mean, that's his son. That's one of his sons.
That's
which
one
is
of his
born
great
from,
sons.
I would say,
Yes.
yeah, born from, I don't know exactly the nationality of his mom, of the mom of Joaquin, but
Mhm.
I know he's the ex, Yannick Noah's ex-wife is living in Chicago.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, I'm,
somewhere in the suburb.
I'm just saying that to say we are coming together in ways that we don't even realize. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
it
Okay.
works. These
All right.
kids, the parents have done it. These kids are here. We're intermingling. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that piece of education there. We really appreciate it. Alicia says you are definitely not crazy. That was when I was referring to. I know I'm not crazy, Alicia. Thank you for confirming that. Sometimes my friends make me feel that way. I love them though. They are good guys and ladies. We just have our differences sometimes, but everybody means well. Andrea Graham says, anyone on the panel DNA tested and have connected to African Caribbean cousins? That's a great question. Anybody done DNA on this thing?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm more of the let me go to the actual resource and dig up and see what I can find if there's anything recorded, and then start asking the oldest member of the family,
what's up? Okay.
What's up?
Cool.
So
Happy New Year, Linko. Keep up the good work. This is Ogbonna Joy. This lady is tremendous in Nigeria. Every year, this woman is in charge of more than I'll say 10,000 youth in Nigeria, and she does this by herself and her husband. Ogbonna Joy. If you have time, you can Google her. Powerful lady, and one of the things she does is to go on the streets of Nigeria and just pick up destitutes and look for young girls who are engaged in prostitution and bring them to a sanctuary. They have a church, they have a sanctuary, and they try to reform these young girls and boys who are on the streets engaging in armed robbery and kind of gang type of life. And so very, very powerful lady. Ogbonna Joy, thank you so much for chiming into the show. I know I haven't reached out in a long time. Please pardon me. I will be doing so this year. I'm a different person. I'll be reaching out to all my loved ones a lot more. Bribri says crack pen epidemic. I think that was to a point that was made earlier. Do you think Africans should do their DNA testing to see if they match their American cousins? Bingo. I think that's a great one. I'm going to try and look for that. I don't know if it's the DNA ancestry or the African ancestry. I think the African ancestry will be mainly for the African Americans, trying to see where they're connected to.
Better.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter?
No, I think that's better. I mean, I've had people do 23andMe, but
Andrea, thanks for the suggestion. I am going to do perhaps I may be connected with my brother Dominic, who knows, he might be my cousin. So I'm definitely going to be trying that. Juanita, honey, you better preach. Bribri is just digging everybody. Thank you so much, Bribri. Great job, guys. Keep speaking. Another point from John says, I was co-host of a show with an African American friend in 2019. We were focused on bridging the gap between Africans and African Americans. He was told not to have anything to do with Africans. He started losing followers and he stopped inviting me in the show. That was deep. I am truly grateful to African Americans for the sacrifice of their lives. They shed blood and are still going and are still doing so for a black man like myself to have rights in this country. Not a lot of Africans go out to the streets. I hope that. Thank you so much, John Oben, just co-host with a show, an African American friend. Wow. That's a powerful story. That's a very powerful story. Feel free to ring in. The number is 815-277-5047. I think it would be better to ring in to elaborate more on these points, but thank you for bringing the comments in. We are the same, but we African Americans of the United States are judged critically by Africans whom we look up to help as put together the missing pieces of our broken history. Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful story. Look at that. African Americans trying to reach out to us, and then we are here having this superiority complex, which is a fallacy. That is the real fallacy. Jazz. Oh, okay, so that was to Jabba. When you mentioned Jabal, I think that Bribri has something on you. No, I'm just kidding. Bribri just was responding to Bribri was just responding to a comment that you made. So Bribri is our fan. She's all of us our fan. She loves the show, and thank you so much, Bri. She's been a guest on the show before. Royal Blood, Womani, Bates. I'm trying to go through. It's a lot of comments. Dropping them, James, Dominic. Excellent conversation from Veda Vasgas. We'll be done with the show. So this is from Wale. Hi, family. This is one of the best to tackle. This is one of the best to tackle this issue of misconception. By the way, African American and African indigents, between African American and African indigents, like we resolved at Northwestern Illinois University in 1986. When the first mayor, Harold Washington, came to the university, we sat and resolved it. You are my brother and my sister. Why should I hate you? So Jabba, Dr. Alinko, I don't know why he calls me doctor, but I'll take it. Dr. Alinko, Dominique, and others, you are on the right track. Educate one another is the best dialogue to resolve it. Thanks, Dr. Wale Idris, publisher of Africa USA magazine. I am so proud of you, brother. It's not about the resources. It's simply how you treat people. Again, from Bray, great guys. This is from Kimberly. Beautiful joint, beautiful point, Juanita. And she says, "Come on, sis, Charlotte, forgiveness." Great conversation from David. Forgive ourselves. We are not perfect. Show ourselves grace. We are still learning. Show ourselves patience. We are on a healing journey. Oh my gosh, I hope I can go through all of these points. So I'll take this one. This is true. Hey, my guy, aware of the Sudanese community. He says, brother Senator Alinko, those events you and others organized here in Chicago before COVID-19 interrupted them were very helpful. We have to implement the unity that we have been preaching, discussing ever since. Let's keep the dialogue and think of ways to implement our ideas. Thanks, everyone, for informative contributions. Very, very true. Before COVID-19 hit us, we did the first ever event in the city of Chicago called the Exchange Ceremony. 2019 was the year of return. It was also 400 years of slavery in this country. So we commemorated that year. We thought that God was doing something powerful in the history of Black people in the diaspora and, of course, globally. So we brought the diaspora together at the DuSable Museum, and we engaged in the exchange ceremony, basically having all the communities come to exchange our cultural dance. We gave awards. We ate some food. We interacted to spiritually heal and to emotionally connect. And as we do these things every year, we display to the world that we own our culture, we are proud of it, and these are the ways in which we are connected through these cultural performances. We meant it to be done every year, but COVID came, we couldn't do it. This past year, we're trying to do it. We had technical glitch. This year is going to happen. We probably will do it at the Rainbow Push. So stay tuned to this space. We will be putting out info regarding this. Shar, I know you saw a glimpse of this. I know we yes. So it's going to happen. We're going to bring the diaspora together and celebrate ourselves in a very powerful way. It's definitely going to happen. Now, what we were also doing is something we call the African Diaspora Summit. So right after that event in 2019, every month we were meeting at the Chicago State. We'll bring the diaspora comes together. We have a panel of community leaders representing all the diaspora, and the members will come and we engage. We ask questions, we talk, we break bread. And again, we meant for this to be happening every month so that the diaspora gradually, because without us physically coming together and engaging in these things, it might take us a longer time for us to connect, because these festivals that we have, go listen to music and buy some African jewelry and go home. It's done, it's part, but we need to be able to talk and interact and eat our food and exchange these cultures. And these are intentional things, events that we want to curate to help the diaspora come together. My goodness, should I go, guys? Should I take some more comments, or should we just go? It will not be fair if I don't read the comments. This is from Michelle. Great discussion. Faith says, great show. Thank you so much, Faith, for chiming in. It will not be fair for colonization, slavery, exploitation, poverty, and what you have produced some of the stereotypes and practices you mentioned. Otherwise, our African people, regardless of where they are globally, were never lazy, divisive, or practice some of the contemporary issues you mentioned. Brother Sana Alinko, thank you so much. You're right. You're right. We as a people are not lazy. So no African, no melanin person is lazy. It's just in our DNA. We are excellent people. It will be great to talk about how the model minority myth and how HB1 visa sets up further reinforce the disconnect by design. Okay, so we might not be able to take all any other questions about comments because of time.
Can I speak on that real point real quick, real quick with the minority?
The visa thing, this one right here.
Well, just as far as the minority, like, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree that we're the minority. Is the only reason we agree it's a minority is because we disconnect each other.
Okay.
But if we actually take everyone into accountability, we are the majority.
Yeah.
True, but
powerful.
For where this is coming from, the visa, when you have to think about it. So if I'm a doctor in a whole nother country and I come here, they make you start over. They don't acknowledge anything that you do. And it's like, I know people that have had lustrous careers and now they come here and now they are pushed to start over. Well, you have to take this, you have to go through all these ropes, rather than saying, wait, you are knowledgeable. Can you let us have certain things you have to do to get your credentials? And if you're not meeting that standard, then they don't acknowledge you.
But Juanita,
I feel like that's not right.
But Juanita, that is beyond the African diaspora jurisdiction, right? That is government issue, right? The African diaspora has nothing to do with that. Is that correct? I don't think because this anything with visa. I think what Dominic is saying. I'm just trying to disagree with you respectfully and humbly, if I may. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Yes.
I think the point Brother Dominic is trying to say is that we're not minority if the diaspora decides to come together and we actually jail. Like, can you imagine?
That part I agree. Yes.
Okay.
But when it comes to that visa,
and that's why I tried to make a disclaimer. I wasn't attacking the visa as much as of minority.
I stand for that. I like pros and cons on that, and that's only because I've actually worked in the college system, so I've seen it firsthand, and I'm looking like, what? You have so much education, and this is what they make you do. So,
how about if the diaspora comes together and we are this huge community? We're no longer minority.
No,
no. I'm just saying something, right? Imagine that huge community now putting pressure on Congress or our Congress men and women to change the law to suit what you were just saying, Juanita. Char. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Because we got to change these visa laws. Some of not just this one, but a lot of other immigration issues, right? So if we are working together, guess what? Right now, the people that are speaking on behalf of immigrant issues and visa are not necessarily Africans in Congress. These are African American leaders that speak on behalf of immigration issues, right? And and they don't have to do with immigration. African Americans have nothing to do with immigration, but they speak on our behalf. And this is one of the main reasons why, if you are from Africa or Caribbean or Latinx, if you belong to the African diaspora, there is some level of admiration and respect that we have to give the African American community. And I tell my friends all the time, this is not about somebody being better than the other, but if somebody does something great, it's honorable to give them that respect and their due, because they have worked hard for it. They've shed their blood for it. You know, so if I have Congressman Danny Davis speaking on behalf of immigration issues in Congress, I'm grateful. I want to thank him. And I want to thank his community, because he doesn't have to get a visa to come to America. You know, I'm the one that's not have to do with visa. My siblings and my people in Africa are trying to come here. We're talking about visa. There are folks here, Africans here, who are struggling with visa issues, who are dealing with some of the things that Shar is talking about. And we don't have people who can speak on our behalf at the levels, at the corridors of power where these laws can be changed. And if the people who can do that for us are African Americans, we have no reason.
We need the resources. So it's like you combine the knowledge of what you know instead of holding it to just you.
Thank you.
That's the best way to do it, because we all struggle in some areas.
Yeah.
And we don't have to.
Exactly.
We shouldn't have to.
More so, yes.
And I wanted
go ahead.
If I could say,
say that quickly, Jabal, because we only have a few minutes to go.
So if I could say something else also, the same way with what you're all saying, is that as well as African Americans helped this country to build up, I would like to invite them. You know, where we know how is the system in Africa, and it's critical, and we need to invite people. I always have that full respect for African Americans, because they have been through a lot, and they finally found a way out. It's not the end yet of the fight, but they're still working hard. And as well as they're working in this side, on this side, I would like to invite them to come to Africa. You know, as we're trying to, as we're talking about linking with everybody, and try to know each other. I would like to invite them to Africa, because we have a lot of damages over there. Like the politics, the system is terrible. And I think Black Americans, African Americans, they are really courageous. I can tell, because I've seen some of their battles in the United States.
Yeah.
And I know with the mindset that they have.
I'm sorry. Hold on to the mindset that they have. This show might go past 2 hours, man. I was hoping to keep it under 2 hours. We haven't even taken a break.
No, that's not going to happen. Not for this conversation.
Call up, my brother. Don't please, Jabal. Hold on to that. Don't forget it. Please tell us your name and why you're calling.
My name is Kojo. I'm calling from the Ballroom Room.
Please go ahead.
What I'm trying to say to you, we Black people, including me, and we are, be honest with you, we are joke. we are not part of. I know you can disagree with me, but I don't feel like we are human beings. And then I feel like we just suckers. We just suck, and then when we get down, we just blame on somebody. Because what I'm trying to say to you, our mindset, like the other guy was saying, our mindset, we don't take risks enough. When we come, we're just making babies. And if we can find our kids, find a kid and develop a kid's mindset to do something bigger, invest on your children, to build that hospital, to build all those things. Then other Black people, when they come in, it's much easier for them also to get a job to do, or they have a way to pass, to do things that are going to fit the Black people. When you tell them that with this planet, which country that is so easy for Black people to go to have peace over there? If you are our own country, we don't have peace over. Show me one country that they treat Black people wrong. And we see these things. We see it, but we don't do nothing about it. Our kids, we take our kids, we put them in the school, we don't show them how to build stuff. We don't do all this. They will go. Most of us go to work, we're always scared that we're going to get fired from work. And that's the truth.
Are you talking about Africans, continental Africans who come here, or are you talking about the entire?
We all Black.
Okay.
We don't have nothing to do with African coming here. This thing.
But
We don't speak Creole.
the things that you were talking about, don't you think that the African Americans have already built a system so that you and I, when we come here, we can vote, you can become a citizen and vote, and don't you know that all of these things that you're enjoying, somebody worked hard for it?
Yeah, no, but what I'm trying to say to you, there's no system.
But no, there's a system. No. If you say there's no system, I don't agree with you. There's a system in America. If you want to go to school, if you want to build, if you want to have a business, everything you want to do, if you buy a car,
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but 90% of the black people stuff is not so. You are not so happy in this. We live in a planet that is like heaven. When we don't have stress on you, we don't know how to design something. I know the African people over here to build. We have our own country. We can't even build it in Africa.
So what I'm saying is, if we have our own country in Africa, we haven't built it. That's what we're saying. The black people here, the Africans in America, who helped build America to create this system that we don't have in Africa. Don't we at least have to acknowledge that at least there's a system here and somebody built it?
No. We just go ahead and the build it for.
So nobody built the system that you and I are, enjoying here.
No, we don't enjoy anything. You enjoy something in this planet as a black man. No, you don't enjoy.
Okay,
anything.
so you are not enjoying the freedom of speech. You're not enjoying the fact that you can set up a business. You don't have to pay a bribe. When you get pulled over, you have to go to the court and pay your tickets. You don't have to pay bribes to do anything. You don't have to worry about corrupt leaders who want to sit in power and sit in government for 100 years as long as they want. You will not enjoy anything of that sort here.
If the place that you enjoy yourself, go to south side of Chicago and work, or keep on walking from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock and see if there's enjoyment.
If you walk around 10 or 11 p.m. in Ashaiman, are you safe when you walk around 11 p.m. in Ashaiman and Nima? Are you safe?
No, you are not.
That's what I'm saying. So if you are not safe in Ashaiman and you're not safe on the south side, it's the same thing.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. If have comfortable and have people from the south side of Chicago, they can live in their house comfortable, and you tell them that this is enjoyment, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
We enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
If these people over here can live over there getting scared, you can live over here and tell them that you are enjoying and you don't feel for them.
Yeah.
Look, I don't go to Africa because when I go and I see the people that the young people who are carrying things, selling things,
and
don't
struggling.
know what to do, that thing kill my.
I know.
I don't wanna even see it.
I feel you. We have issues. I know there's something wrong with the things that we have not been able to fix, right? See, when you go to LA, right?
No enjoyment.
No,
Now you know that. You guys all know that there's no enjoyment. Now you understand.
No, I don't understand. I have enjoyment. I have a freedom of speech. Do you know that in some places in Africa or some places in this world, you couldn't get on the phone like this, or you couldn't get on a call like this, on a show like this. It's your mind. You know that.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so I am enjoying that peace that I have. At least if I'm not enjoying anything, the fact that I can come here and speak my mind and say my opinion and go home without being vilified or attacked or somebody trying to jail me or kill me, I feel like at least that is some peace. Now the world is not perfect. No word is perfect.
If you say that, then there's something wrong.
Okay, there's something wrong. There's something definitely wrong. Nothing is perfect, so something is wrong.
If you can open your mouth and say that there's something wrong with you guys all sitting there.
Okay, Joe.
If you guys could believe that there's something wrong inside you guys,
yeah.
maybe the soul is not there no more.
Kojo.
Maybe the heart.
Kojo.
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 Don't have it no more.
What we are saying is that we feel bad for everybody that is struggling, but what we are saying is that we have not failed totally. We've made progress as a people, and
this planet now. There's no any progress. We didn't do any progress.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There's no any progress.
Thank you, Kojo. Somebody else wants to come on the line. I understand your point. We have you to your point. In your view,
then there's something wrong.
Okay. In your view, nothing good has been achieved in this world. The human race has failed.
If you can sit up, if you can sit over here and you know that the other side of your neighbor can't even, it's so hard for them. They can't do anything. And you can say to yourself that some freedom. There's no any freedom.
Okay.
We just are like a mouse.
Okay.
We wake up, we are like a mouse.
Okay.
We just go and come.
Well, you can claim that. You can claim that, but you can quantify everybody. You can put everybody in that mouse hole.
Yeah.
Right? No, Kojo, you have to give respect to my audience. You can't tell everybody. No, I disagree with you. You can't say everybody sitting here because you don't know them, right? And you only heard.
I don't have to know them because.
But they have not. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your call and your opinion. Okay. It has been made. But I disagree with you. Not everybody is the words that you use. Those are opinion. Everybody's entitled to it. And so thanks for at least sharing your view. And it's passion. It's passion. Everybody is trying to, and I see his passion. He feels for people who are struggling. And I think when he sees that there's that much pain going on, even though a lot of people are doing well, why should we have a system where some people are struggling? And I think it takes me back to a very powerful message that I heard from Tupac Shakur. He was, and I think it's on social media. He said he doesn't understand it, that all these people there's this millionaires, all these millionaires, and you still have people who can feed, right? And so I see that passion, but you can also call everybody, and say nobody has done nothing and that we haven't made progress. I believe we've made progress. And again, you don't call my show and be disrespectful to my guest. Me, I don't mind, but I beg, don't do that. Don't do that. And I respect your people. Brother Ate says, keep it up, bro. Good show. I always hear that we want African Americans to come to Africa to save us. Let us not look for people who already have problems in America to come to our own continent to come and save us. We are always looking for someone to save us. When are we going to save someone? We need to be saving the African Americans, not them saving us. End of the show. We are closing. This is it.
I don't think that is it. I don't think.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's not.
I would say.
That was just by the way. That was just saying. I love the point that he made, but that is the point that I said. Goes to the point I made earlier. As Africans, we have to take that responsibility, fix ourselves. And again, when it comes to the conversation of reaching out and building relationship within the African diaspora, we have to take the initiative. Yeah. Africans, continental Africans, and Africans here. And then I think that is in part the point. He made a bigger point, but it's just I just picked the point that connects to what I said earlier. And I think this is very, very important. I really want to encourage fellow Africans to understand this. And if you don't, my apologies. But we have to get that. We ought to take accountability and responsibility at some point. As powerful and as excellent as we are. Kobina Anthony says, I am so glad I tuned in. Yeah, tune in. Excellent talking points. I know this person. He's one of the guys who I get into a lot. And so, Kobina, I'm glad that you tuned in. If you learn anything, let's talk offline. If you didn't too, we can continue our debate offline. I am glad. My guy, I had to interrupt my brother because he was disrespecting my audience, and so I had to do that type of interruption. Usually, I let my callers speak, and I don't, but I'm not going to accept that. So that was it. Now, guys, we've gone past our time. It was not intended, but these type of conversations require more hours. But we will come back and continue. How do we move forward? The way forward. So we hope we can get you guys back. Whilst we're talking, I'm sure you guys had some points to make. If you missed any comments that you couldn't get through, please, this is a time that you can do this. So I'm going to leave you all I'm going to give you all a minute to give your last comments for today's show. I'll start with Char.
So, everything that we've done today, it hasn't been for nothing. There's been a way that has been paved from long before. So it's just for us to readjust, forgive, move on, connect, collaborate, and partnership. And teach each other. Because we all go through the same issue. Nothing is different. It's still the same.
Yeah.
We're still in that one boat. We're in that one bucket of people, and we have to get out of we're different. We're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Natalie, your closing remarks, please.
I want to thank everyone on the panel. It has been so invigorating, interesting, educational. I've loved meeting you all. I agree with Shar. It is the connection, forgiveness, connection, collaboration, and education. Education.
Love it. Thank you so much. Juanita. Juanita, I apologize. I don't think we gave you a lot of time to bring all those excellent points, but we'll come back again so we can continue.
Oh no, we're good. We're good. Again, I ditto what Natalie and Shar said. This has been an amazing panel, and I commend you for bringing us together. On a positive note, we have to be the storyteller, keep telling our stories, keep telling our kids, remind them that they come from a beautiful, beautiful background, lineage. Our people have overcome so much, and we're so colorful in so many ways. And I just feel like I have the best of all worlds. So thank you all for having me on this panel. And let's keep educating, telling our story.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Jabal?
Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Linko, for having me on this show tonight again. And I just wanted to remind everybody that Black people have problems everywhere they are in the world. So that means if we decided at the end of this, during this debate, that we want to come together, we want to collaborate, we want to link, we want to have connections, that means we can support each other, we can defend each other. That means that's why I was calling for Africans, for Black Africans Americans in Africa, to kind of connect and collaborate with them as much as they can, so that we can change the system on that side. Because nothing to say, they have done a lot on this side. This is still a lot to do, but they have done a lot, so they can help you back there, not save us. Not coming to save us, as someone mentioned. So I think the collaboration would be great if we can do that. And then to end on that good note, I would say it was a pleasure talking with everybody here tonight. A real pleasure meeting you guys. I hope to have another opportunity to talk with everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Dominic.
First and foremost, I would like to give honors to Alenko, just setting up this panel and allowing us to express our perspective. I want to really give you a major honors, brother. I want to give honors to everybody on the panel. I think that what we demonstrated today is a perfect example of learning to love instead of hate. And I think that that's what we have to learn. We have to continue to learn instead of hate. As the sister talked about forgiveness, we have to forgive, and we have to forgive ourselves. We can't beat ourselves to a bloody pulp. At some point we got to pick ourselves up. So, I really, really appreciate what we demonstrated here. We respected each other. Even if we disagreed, we still showed respect. We still showed love. And I think that that's a perfect example of what Alenko is trying to bring out, just as far as with any of our people from any category or culture or nationality. There's room to speak and dialogue, and we could respectfully disagree, but showing love to each other, showing interest, and hearing each other out, we can get a lot across. So I'll leave it with saying nationalities don't order the day, have knowledge of self. And it was a pleasure being on here.
My pleasure having you guys, man. It's been great, and we're coming back again, guys. We're going to try to do this. And how can, I know you all have organizations, let's get some plugging, but what I'm taking home tonight is intentionally working out our relationship. Intentional. I'm going to have to get that phrase. And then another powerful thing that you said, educating ourselves, know who we are. And then Jabal, I'm going to end with something that you said, defending each other. Can you like that just blew my mind. Defending us. The African American get in the back of the Caribbean do the same. The African being the big brother saying, yo, some of my cousins, like you can't talk ill about them. We have issues. We're gonna work it out. Man, look at that. I feel that power, man. So, Shar, how can people get in touch with your organization? A few seconds.
So we're on social media, working on revamping our website. We are on social media. It's Chicago Caribbean Carnival. That actually happens in August of 2022 this year, August 20th. So we'll have our location. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, I believe Twitter. And then our email, if you want to email us, is chicagocaribbeancarnival@gmail.com. And that event, if you guys come, that is to pretty much, it's a day for emancipation, but to unite everybody of the diaspora together. And literally, that's what happens when people come.
Thank you. Natalie, any plugins for you? You want people to work with you or anything of the sort? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the education coordinator at the South Merrill Community Garden. Gardens are important healing spaces for our communities. They let us remember who we are as a people, and they let us grow our young people. So we're southmerrillcommunitygarden.org.
Okay. Any social media sites that you want people to reach out to you on, Juanita, real quick?
Yes, blacklatinos.com, the International Society of Black Latinos on Facebook. And and on the first Thursday of each month, we have In Conversation series as well. So please join us. And you can get that information again on our Facebook page or on our website, blacklatinos.com. Thanks.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Jabal, any social media for you?
Yeah, you can follow me. You can find me on Instagram on Jabal with IEN at the end, Jabalian. And yeah, you will find some of my posts. I'm not really social medias, but once a time I always post something. So you can check out some of my upcoming events and show.
Thank you. Dominic is, for me, I liken him to maybe Tribe Called Quest or De La Soul. I'm not sure, but bro, if you hear him sing, rap, he's a truth, man. Look, hey, so Dominic, I want you to close us with maybe a line or something, but somebody wants to, I don't know who this person is. They've been trying to call, so let's just take, see what who this person is. Brother, please, we're done with the show, but I see your call coming through, so please quickly, your name and why you're calling.
I just call back. What I'm trying to say to people, I'm not trying to down on somebody, and if I say something, I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say, let's try to build our kids. Let's start building our kids so when they grow up, they can have more than the way that we have, so they can try to help each other. When you see, I'll tell you something. When you see the Jewish people, what they went through, like guess what? Now they are together. When they need something, one person will stand up and help them. They make themselves so strong, and we can do the same thing.
Yeah.
The Jewish people, I don't say Jewish people are bad, but they help each other.
Okay.
They have places that you can go. If you're a Jewish person, they will give you.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we have to do, so we can come together like everybody.
Yeah.
So they don't treat us. Look, even our neighborhood. When you go to our neighborhood, which people are people, when they come there, they open a store right there.
Yeah.
But we can also open our store right there also. Let's start changing things. Let's start talk to our kids and.
Okay. I think that point. Yeah, I think that point has been made, and I'm sure my guests accept your apology, right?
Yes, we do.
It's all love.
We do.
It's all love. I know it's the
We
path.
do.
When it comes through, you might say things that you don't intend. So thank you so much for respecting them and calling back. I love you. I really appreciate you. And I apologize if I interrupted or said anything wrong.
No. I'm good.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you.
Okay.
It's all love, man. So at this point, we'll have Dominic tell us his, give us his plugins. But please, you can't leave us without giving us a line, man.
I will. So I wear many hats. I'm like I said, I'm a member of the More Science Temple of America. So if you're interested in finding out more about the Moorish Science Temple of America, you go to MoorishScienceTempleofAmerica.org. We also have an educational site that gives you a little bit more history and knowledge of self on the Moors and our history, our illustrious history. That's amexem.com. That's AMEXEM.com. And then also I'm an after-school programs manager for a mentoring organization called Guitars Over Guns. If you want to check that out, that's guitarsoverguns.org. And then as far as musically, I'm a part of a group called Gyroscope, which is spelt with a J instead of a G. So that's JYROSCOPE. You can find us on gyroscope.bandcamp.com. And you could just Google Gyroscope with a J, and then all of our stuff will pop up, YouTube, Twitter, and all of those things. And I guess I'll spit this real quick. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. 6 o'clock in the morning, reaching the press snooze. A heavyweight is carried when you lay through a broken cocoon to yesterdays. Matter of fact, I've been hopping lagoons since last Saturday. What's time? A measuring stick. My whole week is Maryville, back to Pullman, then it's East all again. South Chicago, where the commercial has the ugliest grin. You know it's work when you toil, but you're never content. I clocked in and whisper, me a lie. Find peace of mind. Never know which day is an obstacle that you need to climb. I see the signs, but I'm sluggish when I can't see the time. My future plans only exist if I seize the time. So what's the excuse? I bet it's on my table, right next to the plate. When you say I'm not available, I've been working these mental faculties, hoping I keep it all together when every thought pattern's polarized. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a sheik, I'm a student, I'm a teacher, I'm a mental to your seed. I'm an artist, I'm the spirit man you finally got to meet, willing to give you everything when there's nothing left for me. Work.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
On that note, guys, I really appreciate your time, the love, and the education this evening. Again, to all our audience, I look, if we came across wrong, it's all love. We hope that you took something from tonight's episode. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep sharing the feed. And this is how we make our community better. The conversation about the African diaspora keeps on, and watch out for this space. For a lot that we're going to be doing is coming. This is what we want to do. This is what we've been trying to do. We need your support. This is the 501c platform. So you can go on our website, theprogressivemindshow.com, and show us some love. Your donations are tax deductible. We're also looking for volunteers. Any way you think you can be part of this, our doors are open. info.progressiveminds@gmail.com, or reach out to us on social media. Any way that you think you can contribute to this growth. Natalie, I know we're going to work on some projects, right? Okay, thank you.
He's
Juanita,
talking about money. That's what he's talking about.
Yes. We're trying to get money so we can make this better, so we can develop this and make this and grow this. So if you all have some money, please look our way. Okay, Juanita is going to try and work on some things so we can get some resources. So on that note, really want to thank Shar Bennett. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Natalie Perkins, one love. Thank you. Juanita, one love. Jabal, brother, thank you so much. Dominic, really appreciate and respect you all for coming on the show and making it to tonight. You made our society and our world a better place. Thank you, and I really want to appreciate that. Well, to all our viewers, this has been the Progressive Mind Show with your host, of course, Alinko. Remember that to whom much is given, much is required. Next week, Wednesday, we should be coming your way with another interesting topic. Remember to be safe. Remember to keep yourself healthy. Omicron is here. The COVID-19 is still here. Man, please be safe. Please be safe. On that note, guys, have a wonderful evening. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well.
Be well.